welcome to today's podcast with Mr. Kyle Roof. Sorry for the most unprofessional introduction. You're supposed to be a professional, Kyle. What the hell's going on?
I thought you were the professional, and I was just supposed to follow along on your lead.
So we are on a Sunday night. Kyle's stuck in the UK, round about the Heathrow Airport area. He did initially run out of Southern Comfort earlier in the hotel. He drunk the bar dry, but he found a liquor store just down the road, so he's back on it.
Crisis averted, really. The coronavirus situation is all about small wins.
Yeah.
And you take them where you can get them.
So you've got a big win, though. That's a big thing. Given you're on lockdown in the middle of fucking London, bored out your skull. What, you're there until Tuesday? Is that right?
That's right. So today's Sunday. I leave on Tuesday. My flight that I had was like, it's gonna happen, and it literally canceled today.
Fuck.
But then, so I called up the airline, and they're like, "Oh, we have a flight an hour later. Do you want that one?" And I was like, "Why wouldn't I want the flight an hour later?" I feel like they just could have moved me on to that flight, and I would have been like, "Yeah, that's fair."
Yeah.
But for some reason, I had to call in, wait the whole time, and then they're like, "Oh, we have a flight an hour later, and we'll put you on that one."
So what is the deal? I know you were supposed to be speaking at In Orbit, and obviously you've used this time to catch up with a few people in the UK. But what is the deal with getting home? Are you going to get home, or is this we'll see what happens?
Well, no, I think because you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm a U.S. citizen. I think they have to take me whether they want to or not. I don't think they have a choice, but it's just a matter of if the flight is actually going. That's what it comes down to.
You don't have to do nothing now, by the looks of things. They're just leaving people. So
just on the street, left and right.
Hotel for a good few months.
This could be my home. I've been told by more than one person in the UK that I'm probably property of the Queen right now. Like, yeah, that's just how it works. Like, emergencies are declared. Borders are shut. The UK owns me.
One day, we knew we would get you one day. We had to do this though.
This was all part of the plan.
Yeah,
actually, the whole thing was all just to get me trapped here, and now I have to do SEO for the UK.
That's it. But it's all kidding aside. Hopefully, you do get on that plane and back to.
I'm not too worried. It's going to happen. I mean, I think what they're doing is they're actually funneling people onto flights. So, like, instead of having 20 people on 5 flights, they're funneling down, I think, to 100 people on 1 flight and then going home. So I'm not too concerned about it.
Yeah.
But it makes for funny jokes.
Well, it depends on who you are. Some people are probably climbing the walls, shitting their pants. But yeah, it's I'm sure you can make light of it. But anyway, on to some good stuff. We want to take advantage of you while you're drunk, if we can, and talk to you a bit.
Craig, you can take advantage of me anytime. You know that.
I have done.
How many conferences have we been together?
Yeah, and it's always late night schmoozing, and you're always the last man. Like, it's not even last man at the bar. You're always the last man straggling about the lobby looking for more.
You're like pulling people in.
Yeah, come here, come in my room. So yeah, we have had a good few nights out, and sadly, spring training I'm not going to get there. Which is a bummer. I was really looking forward to getting out there, but I'm banned from leaving the country.
The thing's a bummer is spring training, which they're going to do a live event next year. I've spoken to Terry about that. So they're going completely online now. And they're actually making a week's worth of, just so like with time zones and everything going on, they're actually going to do a week's worth of presentations. And they've actually added on a bunch of speakers as a result. So you can get on, but the only reason to live in Phoenix really is like February, March, and April are the reasons to live there. And it's a shame that the event is happening because you would just love Phoenix in April. The weather couldn't be more perfect. If you like to golf, it's a golf place. It's a real foodie place too. You can eat and drink, and it's a great time. So that's a real bummer that the live event is happening.
it's because it's all good and well doing it virtually, but I wasn't there just to present. It was everything else
Exactly.
wrong with it, and chilling out with a whole bunch of you smart guys and getting a bit of sunshine as well, which is massively important for my pale complexion. So, but yeah, hopefully we can still do it justice and still have a good time. But yeah, hopefully they redo it again next year or something like that, or later in the year.
Virus aside, how often are you getting to the U.S. now? Because you were you went to Rockstars and that was like October, November.
Yeah, that was the last time I was in the US, which is sad. I loved it. Totally loved the Rockstars event, the people that were there. But in general, I really enjoyed America. It was my first trip to America, and
It was your first one.
It was just amazing atmosphere. It's just really laid back. I mean, you read the press, and and America's probably made to sound a hell of a lot worse than it is. But in LA in particular, I really enjoyed that. The West Coast, I really enjoyed. I went to New York, and a lovely place. Not dismissing New York at all, but it was very busy. Not for me. So
I agree.
West Coast is my kind of place.
Really, did you get to the Grand Theft Auto pier?
Yes, I deliberately went there. Dragged the wife and Gary Wilson and whoever else was with me, and I'm like, I'm going to see this Grand Theft Auto pier, and I had to see it because being a massive Grand Theft Auto fan over the years, and was just desperate to see if it really was. I've seen YouTube videos, and I was like, nah, I need to see it for myself. But yeah, went there. Amazing. It was a bit run down, but really nice to see it, which was amazing.
I can distinctly remember you saying that I know every nook and cranny of that pier.
Yeah. It's so weird, though, because when you go there, not even just the pier, but the surrounding area, like obviously you play GTA online for years and years and years, one of my favourite games, and you know all the hiding spots, but when you're driving through it and you're like, fuck, I could literally drive through.
You know all the places, right?
Yeah, it's so weird to do it. But yeah, that was a good moment. But overall, the whole event and the people, and met a lot of great people out there as well. I think there's a lot of guys, Jeff Lenny and all those kind of guys who are, maybe not public speakers as such in a big way, but really, really smart guys. So amazing event, and hopefully if they ever do have one again in the future, which I'm sure you will. I know you can't have the same speakers year on year, but would love to come back and do it again sometime.
Well, that's not my event. I'm just a massive celebrity there, and it seems like
you certainly made it look like your event. Yeah,
that's what I try to do with all events. I'm like, I'm basically putting this on.
Yeah, you've done that in Milan as well. Yeah.
No, I heard you had the best talk, and there was somebody. What's his name? His initials are Craig Campbell. Said that he had the best talk.
Yeah, I'm always blowing my own trumpet.
That was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah.
For the 4 people that weren't around us, we had a pretty fun back and forth on that whole conference about who's going to have the best talk.
Yeah, people in the hotel must have been like, these two are complete.
People started walking away from us, like
yeah.
Like when you're hanging out and you're like, oh yeah, then they're like, these two assholes, and like just people flitter away. It's just you and me going at each other.
But yeah, no, it was fun. Great event as well. Enjoyed myself.
That was a fun conference.
Yeah. I've been
also probably where I spread coronavirus to everybody. I've been doing the math, and I came from Thailand before that. Pretty sure I picked it up. Then went through Germany and then into Milan. Was really sick there. Passed it to everybody, and then went home. I met Ted Kubitis a month later, and then he sent it back to Seattle. I am the super carrier that has spread the virus to the earth. And I just wanted to come on your show and confess that.
So I'm going to name this podcast, and I'm going to do a blog about it. Kyle Root spreads the spreader of coronavirus.
I'm fairly certain it was me.
You spread a lot of bad things, man. Rumors, coronavirus, and a whole lot of other stuff.
Completely nonsense SEO, everything, really.
I remember you spread a rumor at Rockstars that I had committed 5 felonies or mentioned 5 felonies in my
That
talk.
is a lie. That is a lie. I said 4.
4.
And actually, literally, I said 4.
people have pulled me up on that, saying, "What was he talking about?
Well,
what were the felonies?" And I'm like, "No."
well, we have to start with. So I didn't memorize your talk, but the first thing you have to start with is that you've got like Campbell and Sons Attorneys at Law website.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a thing called UPL, and that is the unlicensed practice of law. And I can tell you that lawyers love it when people pretend to be a lawyer. And by love it, I mean crime.
Yeah. It makes for a good story, though, on stage.
Because, you know, when you go in front of the judge to explain that one, you have to remember the judge is also a lawyer, and they really love it when people have committed the unlicensed practice of law. That's always a. Let's just start with that.
Let's move on quickly.
Did I just destroy your business model and like?
Nah, it's I've done that talk or mentioned that website in a few places, but I think the laws in America and the laws here hopefully are different. But what no one ever remembers,
highly unlikely.
What no one ever remembers at the start of every presentation, I always say, this may not necessarily be my stories. This might be a friend who also has the same Campbell.
There's somebody else. I mean, what's the name of that site? It's literally like Campbell and Associates, isn't
it? Campbell Walker. Walker Solicitors. Yeah.
Who's Walker? Let's bring your associates in right now. Are you recording this?
Yes. And I don't edit. I'm too lazy to edit. So fuck it.
That's the best part. So the craziest part was that he recorded his own confession.
Yeah. I'd never make a good lawyer like you.
You're not making a good criminal.
No, definitely not. Rookie. I'm a rookie, but I'm having fun.
My favorite thing, though, like in all seriousness and all joking, was you're like, I'm just being a bit naughty. There aren't any rules on this, and I was sitting there thinking, like, yeah, there are actual rules, pretty good ones. They actually exist for a reason, and the reason is this.
But the people at Rockstars are not known for their rule following.
No. But they did record that sesh, and I'm pretty sure they did put that on the internet.
Yeah.
But you can't. But I mean, every talk you go to is recorded. I mean, you've been saying this stuff for a while, right?
Yeah. And it's all fun and games. But whether I actually do it or not, it's a different story. I may just say, this is a suggestion.
That's true. It could be an example. Do you speak at like? Would you consider Brighton SEO a white hat conference?
Yeah. I've spoke there before.
And the only reason I ask is because I feel like you've been invited to white hat conferences, and I feel like you probably don't deviate from the script that much on your talk. Would that be fair?
No, I do. I change the talks up depending on where I'm talking. So if someone wants me to talk about, just general stuff, then I'll talk about general stuff. But it's boring. I don't want to be that guy that talks about POP or Cora and on-page shit because it's boring. Everyone, a million people have spoke about it. You've spoken about it.
Are you calling my talk boring?
But so where do I fit into the market? And as I say, it's more fun talking about that other stuff. And I've tried to. I mean, as I say, I can talk about on-page, off-page, whatever you want. Facebook ads, whatever. It really doesn't bother me, and I have done a lot of different talks about different subjects, which is hopefully why I'm still getting some invites to some general events. I wouldn't say white hat events, but some general events.
But what's your go-to general talk? What do you talk about?
Probably just affiliate marketing. Different ways of making money that way. Buying and flipping websites or looking for lazy affiliates or, something like that is something that people find quite interesting as well. So, yeah, probably affiliate marketing. I and some of the kind of strategies around about that, how to identify opportunities, or how to take an Amazon website and, change it to a private affiliate to, get the income up or whatever it may be. So yeah, all different stuff. But anyway, this feels like you're interviewing me. I'm here to get the good stuff from you. So
I had like 4 or 5 more questions on this interview.
we could do that another time. But
you come on my show, I'll interview you on that.
Yeah, let's do that. But for you, Kyle, you obviously have your POP, which you're well known for, which is obviously a correlation tool. But something that you wanted to talk about, which I think is a really good subject, which is how to identify how someone has potentially been hit by an update. And that's the thing, and we don't want to, because you're a data guy, you given your POP background, you like working with data, which makes total sense. You don't want to go onto Facebook to find out what Joe Blogs is saying about his the most recent update and how it's impacted his website. So how do you identify what the hell is going on? That is what we need to know.
I've been playing with this a lot because I know that everybody, I assume that the entire planet has either been on Facebook or Twitter recently, at least the SEO guys. And you always see you'll see something like, "Is there something going on? My rankings just dropped," right? And then somebody's like, "Yeah, that totally hit me." "No, I don't see anything in my niche." And they're like, "I am, socks." And then like this person's like, "It hit me, but I'm, gambling, and I do this," and it's just like back and forth on a yes or a no and whatever. And I realize that's probably not the right way to do SEO. That was a moment that I had, that Facebook post on if there was an update or not is not the right way to do it. But then I was thinking, like, how can you actually identify, short of a Google announcement, because like apparently they're now announcing their core updates. Like they had the January 2021. But aside from that, they also say that they tweak constantly, and it could be even weekly, and there could be ones that have actually impacted people or not. And so I realized you really need 3 points of contact on whether an update has happened. You need something on the front end where you've seen movement, and not just movement, but probably indexation. So you can set up your own sites, you can set up test sites, and you can watch how they index. And watching how that index moves is an indication that an update is coming. And then you can see an actual drop in traffic, and a drop that is then sustained for a couple days, and not just like kind of spiking up and down, but so you something happened and you had a firm drop. And then on the back end, go through aggregate weather data. So like all those tools that will tell you that an update has happened, but in reverse, all the weather tools, they all look at it kind of coming from the back end, and then they can see movement in their SERPs. And then you can see they'll all ping at the same time. And so what I realized, you kind of need 3 points of that. You need to see the front end, you need to see an actual drop, and then you need to see aggregate weather confirmation. And I've never seen anybody post in Facebook or Twitter, I saw something on the front end, I saw some actual results, and then I'm seeing weather confirmation on the back end. It's just this crazy willy-nilly, I had something, I didn't, I did, I didn't, rather than an actual, take a look at this, let's see if this was an actual update that hit anybody.
Yeah. So obviously there's going to, for people to be able to try and figure that stuff out, though, they don't have the same brain as you. You're like a mathematician guy, if you like. I don't know if that's the right choice of word, but you are like the Rain Man who comes up with all these kind of calculations and sees movement. But for the general Joe out there that doesn't think like you, because you are obviously very intelligent when it comes to SEO, and I don't want to say that again because your ego's big enough. But for the general person, how do you figure that stuff out? Where's the go-to place?
That's actually it. So these are things that I've sat and thought about for a long time, but everything I just said is actually accessible. The only thing that's a little tricky is the front part, that movement. So you can set up sites in a lot of different niches, and I have a lot of test sites, and you can watch them move, and the indexation rates, meaning like Google actually crawling and indexing them, that's a little tricky to set up. And not to be self-promoting, but we do have in IMG, which is a group that I have, we actually have a predictor tool. on the front end. So if you don't want to set up all those, we do actually have that. And as an example, the January 2020 update, which Google announced on that Monday, we actually predicted the Friday before, which is actually pretty awesome. But you don't need to use our tool. You can set up sites and you can watch how they index. You can watch them move up and down. You can get that thing. But then the other parts are super easy. You can see your own drop in traffic if you've been hit. And then you can go through, I would go through 5 different weather tools. And you can stack them up day by day. And then on the days they hit, you can see the move. But they're about 2-3 days behind when an update actually happens. But that's something you can do. So all of this is free. So while it took me a while to like kind of evaluate this and think about it, all of this you have access to now. You know, the sites that you have, you can watch their index rates. You just have to go into Search Console and do them individually, or set up sites for specifically. You can see your own traffic drop, and then you can look at all the free weather tools in retrospect. Then we'll catch it 2-3 days later.
Yeah. So ING Gold, you mentioned there, Internet Marketing Gold. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, can you tell us a bit more about that?
It's a group that myself, my business partner, Andy Steven, and then also Ted Kubaitis of Quora, we started, and the majority of it is free. It's a place we call it a place to get answers, where you go in and you can just get in. You can post questions, and Ted and I, and also Andy, and a bunch of other people, we respond. It's outside of Facebook, and that's intentional. We don't want to be in that ecosystem or that echo chamber, but you can actually go in and actually figure out some stuff. And if you want to go into the premium, that's where you have some tools and stuff like that you have access to as well. But really in the free section, come on in and you can get a lot of value out of it.
That was where we done the thing back last month for the SEO spring training as well. We done the kind of interview thing. That was quite that's a custom, because it was quite cool how you could go to different tables, which I thought, I was like, Kyle Roos tables there, 5 of us could jump in there and start grilling the shit out of you on camera. Quite a cool setup you have there. Is that a bespoke thing you guys made, or is that something else?
We're picking back on top of another tool, but we brought that in. That I don't think you can buy that tool. I'm pretty sure they're still in beta. But something that we brought in is, and things that we're looking to do is actually create a community. So what you're talking about is that we mostly for premium events, although if you want to come in for Fight Club, which is a free thing, you can come in. But the idea is that if you want to meet the guests, if you want to meet the hosts, if you want to come in and actually have a conversation with me or Ted or anybody that we're bringing, you can actually do that just like we're having now.
Yeah.
Where you can actually see people and interact. Because something that we realize is that a lot of groups, all groups, are really just text.
Yeah.
But it's an entirely different thing to actually meet people and have a real interaction with them, which is something that we're trying to do. So we hold a lot of events that are interactive, where if you have a mic and a camera, you can then meet people who are, like-minded. We're all doing SEO online, or we're doing digital marketing or some form of online, and we live in our set. Some of us live in a Hyatt. Some of us are in Edinburgh, where you're in Edinburgh, right?
That's cool. No.
I'm sorry. My apologies. Apologies. But you know what I mean? Like, we're all in our sad little places and we're doing our own little thing. And then it actually turns out, there are a lot of us, where you can then get together and actually meet people.
Yeah.
And so we actually wanted to create a community online as well as that could be done. So that's part of the technology that we tried to integrate into IMG to make that happen.
Yeah,
we actually have like a hangout. We're literally for an hour or two, it's on. Like the tables are open. So if you're just working at home, you can just come in, talk to people, go to another table while you're like doing something or having a meeting, and come back, just to try to make it as interactive as possible.
Yeah, no, it was my first experience of seeing anything like that, which I thought was really cool. And so for anyone out there who wants to try it out, have a look. Quite cool. And I certainly think you're right. I like seeing the people, and unfortunately just now in particular, we can't get out and about to see each other in person. But that's the best thing. Who wants to do a Facebook message? It's faceless, it's shit. At least if you're sitting there, you can still have a beer and chat the same shit. It's like we're in Milan. I can sit here and say, my talk's going to be the best, Kyle. You're garbage.
And obviously was.
But no, we can still do that. And I think it's definitely the next best thing. rather than meeting people. I think it's a great tool, great platform, and I was surprised to see it. And I actually meant to ask, what the hell is this? It was really cool, but if it's bespoke, it's out with my skill level. So
well, it's not. So you can. So the company that's running it, they're called Remo, but I don't think it's available. You can go there and you can try it. Maybe it is. But I don't think it's available.
I'll just come and join yours. I'll just come and harass people in I Am Gold. It makes a lot more sense to do that rather than talking to myself.
Well, that's what we thought, and that's what we're actually hoping is that people actually just might want to hang out for a minute.
Yeah.
But too, like, you watch like these great. So we do our podcast through that. So you watch podcasts or you listen to them, watch them. You watch YouTube channels, and it's like, oh, that's really fun. Wouldn't it be great to ask them another question live? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's what we're trying to bring. Where you can listen to the whole podcast, or you can watch that whole presentation, and be like, I had a couple questions that. And you can put them into the chat, and that's one thing. But why not go actually and talk to the actual person that's putting it on?
Yeah,
is our thought. And then you can do that. So when you come on to our thing, and we do our AMA where I ask you all the questions, people could meet you after. You know? Like they actually you're a real person. It turns out, and you can actually see them online. They don't have to just watch something and then or if it's live, then they can type something in, but they can actually see who you are as a person.
Definitely, it's a lot of value to be had there. So, guys, check that out. If you want to meet guys like Kyle, and there's plenty of other very, very smart guys out there. So
that's a fun thing. There are a lot of smart dudes that jump in. That's actually the fun part.
I think what people probably don't realize, and I was probably guilty of it as well. I'm in a bubble in the UK, and I've got like friends like Dooley and everything else, and we're all doing reasonably well for ourselves, thinking we're smart, and then obviously coming out to rock stars and meeting all of those guys, not just the speakers, by the way. I'm talking about sat in attending the event, where doing absolutely killing it and doing some real smart stuff. So I think you've got to somehow, if you can't afford to get out to where the events like rock stars or whatever, that is definitely the next best thing, because the guys, even in attendance, are super smart out there, and you're not, everyone's in their own little bubble, and I'm sure people in Milan think the same as well. We're all the best, and no one else exists, and we're all at the top of the tree, so to speak. But I picked up a hell of a lot out in the US, and have a massive amount of respect, even just for the attendees in Rockstars.
I have two comments. Comment one, the Rockstars conference, which again is not my conference, but the original concept was that the attendees are the Rockstars. Mm-hmm. was the idea, and you can see it at that conference at how high level that conference is. With the people that are there are super high level, which makes that conference great. The other thing too, so I saw Dooley on Wednesday,
mm-hmm.
and he invited me to Crazy Golf.
I heard
his home course, and I beat him.
Dooley reckons he let you in because I messaged him, and he said, "Yeah, he's over from America. He didn't know anyone. I didn't want to beat his ass in front of everyone. I had to let him win, make him feel good." Did that happen?
So the whole thing was fun and games for about 6 holes, and then it got really serious. Like the whole, so it's like 6 dudes. By the way, these are all adults, and they're like playing grab ass and like pushing each other into the bushes, like. But then about hole 6 or 7, like that all ended. Things got really serious. It's James and his friends and people that he works with, and I felt I was a little detached, and I was kind of watching this, and it all started fun and games, and then got super competitive, and then I kicked his ass. It's kind of what happened. So
I need to know, you kicked his ass. I love it when someone sticks it on Dooley, because I tell you what, if he'd actually won, you would never hear the end of it. He would literally remind you of it in 3 years' time.
You should have seen the screaming match that came up on like the 17th hole or 16th hole between him and Joe, talking about how many strokes Joel had on the previous hole. They literally walked back to the hole to count the strokes. They don't mess around.
Nah.
But the most important point of the story, though, is that I won. Is really what I wanted to say.
That's it.
I'm pretty sure James will watch this, and I want him to see that.
So James, Kyle won fair and square.
It took. I had 4 holes in one.
Man.
Is what that took.
But you American guys are playing a lot more golf than us.
I've played 3 times in the last 7 years, maybe.
Jeez.
It's all on the wrist. It's all on the wrist.
So it could have been you probably have to go back and have a rematch, and it should be recorded one time.
I think we should.
Your home turf, because to be fair, you were out there in a city that you didn't know anyone. Let's do it in America the next time we're
People
out there.
were booing. The crowd was against me.
Yeah, and they all look like psychopaths as well, which can be intimidating for some people as well.
You know, you got you know what though? You know where I should do it? So I don't know if I should say this publicly, but I'm a Liverpool fan. But I feel like I've got home court advantage there. And I know, so James is from Manchester. We should take it to Liverpool, and then the crowd will probably be behind me there, and then we can see how that goes.
Do it. This is the next fight. Kyle versus James. Somewhere
it's like a Wilder Fury almost, basically.
We can build it up to be like that.
It's pretty close.
But anything else? Any other tips on identifying updates, or was that all you've got? Is there any other small tips that you use?
So the thing is, so you've got that. If you're not sure, look into Search Console and look for the pages that have dropped in impressions. Because usually people get keyword focused and like, oh, my keywords dropped. And that might be one thing. You want to look and actually see the pages that have dropped impressions. And then from there, you want to see the pages. So you kind of pull those out. Look at how many queries those pages have dropped. You can actually do then a comparison within Search Console. And this is all free data. And I pull it into Data Studio to sort. But look and see pages that have dropped queries. And that's kind of an important step in this, because a lot of people are like, oh, I went from 2 to, who cares? You know, what does that even mean in terms of your site? But if you actually break it down on the page level, look at the pages that have dropped impressions, then pages that have dropped queries, and then from there, look at those queries that have actually impacted you the most, because you have to attach those keywords to pages. Yeah, that's the only way to, you know, Google doesn't rank keywords, Google doesn't rank websites, Google ranks pages. And so you need to see which pages have actually been impacted, how they've been impacted, and then you can actually create a recovery strategy. And you know, the more I would think about it, like a core update, an algo penalty, I think there's very little difference between those two. You know, or even just the SERP shifted, if you want to look at it that way. There's very little difference between all those situations, because the end result is the same. You need to find the pages that have been harmed the most. How they've been harmed, and then you can. But like usually people look at it and they're just like, I was hit by an update, this keyword dropped, and then they really have nothing else to do. But if you look at it from okay, this page was hit and this page just lost 500 keywords. Okay, now does that mean we need to add some of the more targeted keywords in? Or if they're not relevant, do we need to create new content? And now you have a strategy. So now we're putting keywords that we were lost onto the page because they really weren't as prominent, or they actually weren't relevant. We lost them, but they weren't really relevant to that page, and now we need to create new content, and now you have an actual strategy for recovery. Yeah.
No, it's an interesting way to. I've never actually heard someone say it the way you do it. The way you're putting that across is very simple, but I think a lot of people do look at it in a keyword level. I've dropped X amount of keywords, and they probably
panic.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way to look at it. And common sense as well. It's you know, why wouldn't you look at it in that way?
If you don't look at it at the page level, you'll never know what to do. You'll never know if you need to improve that particular page or if you need new pages. Is really what it comes down to, because it's one or the other. You have to improve that particular page for that particular keyword, or it's not relevant anymore and you need a new page. And if you don't do that page level evaluation, you'll never see it. You'll run around screaming. You'll go on Facebook and ask for help. None will be given, and then you're just kind of stuck. That's kind of. I think that's the cycle of Facebook SEO.
Yeah,
I need help. No help. Done.
I'm curious to know. I know you're on Facebook. However, do you go in the groups and stuff like that, or do you totally ignore them?
So I'm there a bit. The reason that I'm there, though, is actually kind of look to see the way the wind is blowing on thought processes is really what I like to see within Facebook. But the last round on Facebook, which was kind of fun. So, you know, the rhinoplasty plano
Yeah.
thing, of course. And then I got a lot of hate mail after that, like a lot. And my whole next round of talks, so the last circuit, like the Milan talk, for example, was the reasons it couldn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, kind of running through those whole things. Like I was told that this just can't happen again, and here's why. And so I did a whole talk, and I built 5 new websites, all ranking in lorem ipsum, all on page 1 for all the different cities that I was speaking in, all addressing a particular issue. But I was a bit soured after rhinoplasty plantar with all the hate mail.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I have removed myself just a little bit from Facebook just because of that kind of whole experience.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I don't think whatever you do, good, bad, or indifferent, you know, someone's always got an opinion on it, and it can be a pain in the ass when you get a bit of shit online.
The weird thing about it too was I felt like all I've done is shown something that works. You know, and I've never hidden anything either.
Yeah,
like I've never played hide the ball. I actually show my sites, I show what I've done, and I show a thing, and then yet still people can see that thing, and yet with their own eyes, and yet say that it didn't happen. Which is really weird to me. It's a weird phenomenon because, like, I feel like maybe it just went completely against what they believed as a core value, and even though it actually exists, and it is taking up both time and space, like they still can't wrap their brains around that it's a possibility. It's bizarre.
More people are going to appreciate what you've done though and say, do you know what? He tried something. He showed us that maybe Google is not as, you know, clever as they may claim to be. And that's it. I don't know why people feel that they have to say you're a liar, you're a bullshitter, you cheated, or, you know, any of that other stuff. It's just beyond belief. But I think in the grand scheme of things, no matter what you do, good or bad, someone's always got something bad to say about it anyway.
It's fine. It's fine. And don't worry, I have a thick skin. I'm good with it. But it was an unexpected response.
Yeah.
To the work that I do, because it's not like I posted like a screen with like an upward going trend and I'm like, look how great I am, kind of a post. I actually, you know, here's a site that I built and this is how it worked and this is what I did, and now it's ranking number 1, or it's on page 1 for this particular term. Now here we go. This is what I think.
Yeah. But Google banned you for that, did they not? Or what happened? What was the situation with Google?
Oh, that was a lot of fun. So this really upstanding citizen named Roger Monti, who is the top level journalist you can possibly imagine, wrote an article about me, and this was November 2018. And I was actually speaking at a conference that day, and the article came out. And he wrote this article like he did this investigative journalism, and like found this site that was ranking in lorem ipsum within Google, and he said that I did it and keep in mind, he never contacted me. You know, we were actually Facebook friends. He could actually messenger me, but he never contacted me, and he said that I did this to make fun of Google. And I ranked this site number 1 to make fun of Google, and that's entirely untrue. I did it to make fun of SEOs. It was actually my goal, like just to like dispel like the myth of this good content that a lot of people want to talk about. But the article came out 6 hours later. That site was de-indexed. And then that night, from 1:15 a.m. to 1:27 a.m., I had all these notices from Google, and they took down 20 of my test sites.
Oh, man.
And the test sites had no relation to the rhinoplasty plano site. They weren't linking in. They had nothing to do with that, but Google just decided to take all of them down as a punitive measure.
Yeah.
And Charles Float, I think, was the first one that said, which was really funny, because, you know, Google goes after people. That's not a new thing, but they go after dirty black hat people like yourself.
Yeah.
No, they go after people that have done like spammy things, like all the people that have like those PBN networks, and they take those down, or they go after people that are specifically manipulating things through links. But Charles was like, I think you're the first one that has ever been attacked by Google just for doing good on page. And I think it's true. Like all I did was just good on page, showed people, and then Google decided to attack me.
Yeah.
And go after unrelated sites, like things that had nothing to do with the site in question.
So what when that happens to you and Google go after you, is there a point of contact, or are you just fucked? The sites are dead. Are you able to go and say, hey, hang on a minute, Google, let's talk about this?
Well, that's what I did. So I did a reconsideration request. So the first thing I did is I did a reconsideration request, and I said, this site, which is in the site was entirely lorem. It was one of my test sites, all lorem ipsum, and all the keywords are fake. And I said, this can't be. So the penalty was pure spam. And I was like, this can't be pure spam because it is not going after any keywords that anybody else is optimizing, nor is anybody paying for in AdWords. I am not taking up any space in the SERPs. It cannot be spam. And they denied that. It actually took 24 hours for that one to come back as no. So then what I did is I took the whole site down, and I had the 2012 template up. Mm-hmm. And then I resubmitted, and I said, this is a 2012 template. Everything's been removed. Not a problem. That took about a week, which actually tells you, like, if you don't make any changes, I think that you get an immediate just no. Mm-hmm. So then I made the changes. It took about a week, and then I got a no. They said it's still pure spam. So then what I did is I took that down, and I had a one-page site, and I wrote just stream of consciousness. I was like, this is my one-page site, and I'm thinking these words as I'm typing them. This has to be completely unique. There's nothing here. And then I sent that, and they shut that down. They said no as well to that.
Gee.
And that to me was perfect, because that proved that it was completely punitive.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with anything that's within Google's guidelines. This is them just coming after me for showing other people how the algorithm works, and them just being super mean about it. And that has made me so much money. Mm-hmm. It was instant validation, because if I was talking nonsense, if the things that I said weren't true, if I got lucky, Google would have rolled their eyes and moved on. But because I think I actually exposed how the algorithm works, they went after me and then made a point of it. And it has been the best thing ever for me, because it validated everything I've ever said on stage, everything I've ever put out online, instantly.
Yeah.
Like, what other validation could there be other than like them just coming after you for actually telling people how the algorithm actually works?
It's madness. So no recovery ever from those websites? Or just
no, they're dead. But here's the funny part is then, so I just bought domains not in my name, and I recreated all of them, doing all the exact same thing. And then, as I mentioned, during the last speaking circuit, I put up 5 other lorem ipsum sites, and they're all on page 1 for their terms.
Not good.
But nothing changed. Nothing changed other than them going after me for a minute, as though that would stop me.
But if it's paid off, in terms of exposure and bought a lot of trust, then it was worth it. Definitely, for the sake of 5 crappy test sites.
Well, they were the ones, and then like the 20. And that, to be honest, I mean, that cost me thousands of dollars. Like all the time, and because I had test sites that were like 5 years old. I was doing a lot of fun stuff with, just kind of seeing how an age site works with this or that. And so I got taken down. But the scene in Star Wars, you're a nerd, right? The scene in Star Wars where Obi-Wan looks at Darth Vader and he says, "Strike me down, and I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine." Mm-hmm. I mean, that's exactly what happened. They struck down those sites, and I have become more powerful than they can possibly imagine. It's just validation.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Good to hear some good came of it. And you're able
actually, it was all good. Like, it wasn't fun in the moment. Like, it's one of those things. Like, it wasn't a great time when that happened.
No,
but 2 years removed,
never expecting it, and then boom, this happens, and you're like, fuck.
So I had another. So people like, where'd you get this idea from? I actually had done it before, several times. But we had this client, Motorcycle Nova Scotia was their main term. Motorcycle Course Nova Scotia. So like, you get your motorcycle license. and in Nova Scotia. And for some reason, they didn't hire us, and that really kind of annoyed me. And I thought, fuck them. I'll just create a site and I'll rank them. But I did it in Lorem Ipsum, and I did it on my agency site. So a site that has nothing to do with Nova Scotia or motorcycles or any kind of licensing, and it was an orphan page that had no links coming to my site, and that was ranking number 4 for the term above their site for motorcycle courses in Nova Scotia. And that site was up for 2 years, give or take. And then this whole thing happened, and I actually got really frightened because as Google's taking down all my test sites. So I took that page down just because I can't lose my agency site. Yeah. But it was one of the things people are well, how long do these things last? They last forever. I was ranking for forever for that term. And then just the only reason I took it down was just because I was so frightened once they were going after all my test sites.
So you mentioned your agency site. So out with POP and whatever else you do, you have an agency?
That's right. Yeah. So I've got an office in Phoenix, and I've got our main office is in Berlin, Germany. And we're actually, though, based out, officially we're an Australian company. We have a small office in Melbourne. But we do agency side. The majority of my income comes from agency side work. So we do local to national to international, to kind of everything in between SEO.
Interesting. I had no idea you also had an agency. I thought
it's actually something else. When people want to talk shit about what I do, I'm you realize I have clients, and I'm actually doing SEO every day, and they will stop paying if this isn't true.
Yeah.
And I also do SEO that I can't risk. I can't do things that are risky when you're playing with this type of client, that is they're dependent on this for their livelihood. You can't just do willy-nilly SEO. You have to do things that are within the rules of the game. So while my test sites maybe Google didn't love that much, but all the stuff that I have done is within the rules, so that I apply this to client sites and we get successful results because we're doing it right.
Yeah. No, I think it's interesting that you do that. But what is the plan for Kyle Roof going forward? Is it just more of the same, or is there anything new coming up? Because I think you're living the kind of dream of every SEO. You've got a handful of clients, an agency. You've also got the tool. What else do you do next? You're speaking. Where else do you go, or what is the next ambition?
So I really think SaaS is the way to go, and building out SaaS tools. So the next tool I've got coming up is actually for affiliates. And if you're writing content, the most expensive thing you can do in SEO is content, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most expensive part of it. And if you're doing it where you're actually writing really great content that is proprietary, you want to protect that. You don't need assholes stealing it, and you might be using Copyscape. So what I've done is I've built a tool that actually taps into the Copyscape API, and it'll run through and it'll find duplicate content, which everybody's doing. But then how do you do anything with that? And so once you find duplicate content, you can push a button and do a DCMA takedown for $5 is what we're doing. Whereas if you were to go to a lawyer, that's a $250 to $500 kind of experience to do a DCMA takedown. So what we've got, and so the price of the tool is Copyscape plus half a cent. So whatever as Copyscape goes, they charge, a penny for 100 words. Well, we're 1.5 pennies.
Yeah.
And then that's the cost of it. And then if you find a site you need to do a takedown on, then it's just $5 is what we've put together to help people that need to protect their content. So we're doing it as cheaply as we possibly can.
Yeah.
It's really, like I said, so it's just the Copyscape Plus. And if you want to do unlimited kind of takedowns and do them for $250 takedown, let's say you've got 20 assholes that have stolen your stuff, then it's just the Copyscape price is even. So whatever it is, and then it's just $250 takedown if they're paying $20 a month.
Yeah.
So really try to do it for the affiliate guys that have a lot of sites. You might have 10, 20 pages you need to protect.
Yeah.
We're trying to set it up so you can do that. And then when somebody steals your stuff on your money pages that are actually bringing you income and supporting your family, and then you can do a takedown without having to pay a lawyer $500. You just do it for $5.
So when is this coming
out? Next week or 2 weeks tops. This is on it.
I love shit like this.
Yeah.
Not that many people are going to steal my kind of crappy content, but I just love the fact that you've got a bit more power just to threaten people with.
Just to, and the big thing is just that ability to, I mean, you can do takedowns you can do for free. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can do it for free. A lot of people like to go the lawyer route just because then they get to send a lawyer letter. But that's a $250 to $500 kind of experience. But we've got it set up so that you don't have the learning curve is just pushing a button. And then we also keep track of what's done, and you get the record of the thing happening, so you can keep track of actually being able to go after these assholes. It doesn't guarantee it's coming down, but at least you've done what you can do to protect your stuff.
Nah, interesting stuff. I look forward to seeing that, and obviously I'll help promote it on my social media and stuff when it comes out. It looks like another awesome idea from Mr. Kyle Roof again. He'll be a winner. One last question before you go.
Yeah.
So I've always been curious, and I'm probably sure I've asked you this while I've been pissed. So you've got you from POP. Ted,
I'm sorry, you got what?
So you've got yourself. You have Page Optimizer Pro. You've got Ted Kabaitis, who has Cora.
Yeah.
You're both best friends, but you're surely kind of rivals as well. And which I know you're not rivals, and Ted's going after people who want more data and shit like that, and there's room for everyone. But what the point I'm trying to make is you could essentially be seen as rivals. You could be easily like, I'm not talking to Ted. He could steal some ideas. It's great to see two guys who have very similar tools, who are very, friends, and probably share a shitload of information. Because there's enough money out there for you both to earn a healthy living. Both very smart guys. Would that be correct with that assumption? You could be seen as rivals, but you've embraced it and help each other.
Well, I think that's right. There's no way to look at the tools and not see that they're competitors. We literally are. The thing about it is, and both Ted and I can talk year off about how the tools are different. You mentioned, and actually earlier, that POP was a correlational tool, and it's not. Ted's tool is the only tool that is actually doing correlation.
Yeah.
There is no other tool on the market. You can name anything you want to name right now, and I'm sure there's one that starts with a certain letter that you're thinking of. They are not doing correlation analysis. Ted's is the only tool that's doing that. What POP does is actually what we call edge analysis. So we've written our own algorithm. And so when we're looking at the sites you're comparing against, we're actually doing analysis where you can actually get an edge in specific signals.
Yeah.
And that's proprietary. It's not a correlation at all. It's what we like to call edge analysis, where there are times you want to do more. There are times when it's appropriate to do the same, and there are times when that it's appropriate to do less. And that's actually the results that Core gives, or excuse me, that POP gives. So they're two very different kind of mindsets on how it's approached. But at the end of the day, the thing is, we are direct competitors. But we realized that it would be so much better to be friends.
Yeah.
It would just be so much better. And so that's what we've done. So even though I know there are times when I'm sure my sales take a hit when he does a Cora improvement, and I know that there are times when his sales take a hit when we do a POP improvement, but we realize that it would just be so much better to not compete directly, or even though we're competing directly, to be friendly. And I've given, I don't know how many suggestions to him on how to improve Core. We use Core in our agency. It's part of our 1-2. We start with POP, and we do POP, and then we come in with Core, and we find those things that are missing that POP isn't seeing, and we put those in. And I'm happy to tell people about that. SEO Spring Training, I think Ted and I are doing a joint presentation on how to do on page, from the perspective of start with this, do that, and then look at this, and then do that. So yeah, we just made the decision that our friendship is more important, and we became friends through this whole process. But just we wanted to. This sounds flippant. It sounds insincere. Ted and I want people to do better SEO.
Yeah.
I could charge a lot more for what I do. I could charge, and Ted could too. I mean, POP is $39 a month. I could charge a lot more. What I really wanted, because I can remember, 9 years ago when I was just getting into SEO and trying to figure out how to do it, if I could have access to enterprise level data at a price point I could have afforded, I know I could have competed better.
Yeah.
And that's why Pop is at the price point that it's at, because it is enterprise level data at a price point where a guy that's hustling and trying to do SEO. I know that Ted, I mean, so again, I can't minimize the complexity of Quora and the math that is actually happening that is not happening in any other tool. And I think you can get, so Quora is like $250 out of the box, but I think you can get a discount where it's usually like around 180 something. You can't get that level of math for 180 a month anywhere. And really the reason that we're offering these things at these prices is really because we want people to do better SEO. We want people to succeed. I want small businesses to succeed. I want affiliate guys to succeed. I want guys that are hustling to succeed. People that really want to put it in and do it and are willing to be there. That's actually what we're trying to do. And so I think we realized that both of us had that same idea of let's just make this better.
Yeah.
And then that's when we decided so that we have competing tools, that's completely fine. Let's just do it better. And that's kind of where we kind of came from.
It's very refreshing to see. I don't think there's any other two tool providers, if you want, that are that friendly out there in any industry, probably. So that's very refreshing to see, and I think it's the way life should be. It's the same as most SEOs that I know. The ones that do well embrace and help each other. We don't see each other as rivals. We're more than happy to lend a hand, and I think it's definitely a good thing going forward. If you can, retain that friendship and bounce ideas off, because
the friendship is cemented. I mean, even in IMG, like if you get into the premium part of that, that's $100 a month. I know we could be charging $750 a month for that kind of information, but that's not what we want to do at all.
Here is a question. I recently just joined Traffic Think Tank, or whatever it's called. I think.
Is that Eric Lancheris?
Yeah.
Is that his?
Yeah. I think it's £100 a month. Should I be cancelling that and coming to IMG?
How can I? After giving that whole spiel, how can I be like, yeah, fuck that guy? if it's what I'm thinking of, if it's Eric Lancheris, Eric is a fantastic guy, and he has a lot of.
It's Matthew Barbie, Nick Hills, and someone else. There's three of them. Traffic Think Tank.
Okay, I don't think I've seen their stuff, but I am confident, Craig, that you will get a lot of value out of what they're doing. How could I possibly say?
Just see that guy. Come on.
I can't do it. You know what? There's so much we get for free in IMG. Come to the free part of IMG and then pay them $100. That's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with that. There's so much market share. There's so much to learn, and here's one other thing. This is what I want to say. If anyone tells you that they know the only way to do SEO, you should just run from that guy. Just run as fast as you can, because there isn't one way to do SEO. There's so many different perspectives. And so the group that you mentioned, I am confident that they are crushing it. I've never seen them, but I mean, they are probably doing it right. And it doesn't matter if what they're saying is almost diametrically opposed to anything that I might say. There's so many ways to go at this, and there's so many different formulas that are successful. Follow them, love them. I'm around.
I love joining different groups and just getting other people's perspectives. I don't like listening to one bunch of guys. I like to hop in and out and see what's going on. And also just to steal their good stories and jokes and shit like that as well, and pass them off as my own on stage as well.
That's all that I do. You see my on-stage success. They're all other people's jokes.
Yeah, I'm the same, man. It's that lawyer thing and all that. That wasn't even me. That was that guy Walker.
I'm not even a lawyer. I made it up.
But sadly, Kyle, we are at an hour.
Oh my God, this has gone forever.
I don't
How long is this show?
There is no time limit on it, but I'm just
nobody's listening anymore.
I'm eating into your.
They all checked out the moment you started eating that fish fillet or whatever you put in your mouth.
I was starving. I was absolutely starving. But
is that Charlie in the background?
Yeah.
How's he doing?
Yeah, he's good, man. He's good. He's starting to walk now, and all hell is fucking breaking loose, man.
That's what happens as soon as they get mobile. Your world is over, and you'll notice like as they get a little bit taller, like the stuff. So nothing can be on the floor anymore. I mean, that's gone. And then the taller they get, so first, like when they're crawling, they can reach. Well, that's now you're there. And then as soon as they can pull themselves up, now that stuff is gone. You notice, like for like I don't know how many years of your life, nothing is within 4 feet of your floor, just because all they want to do is kill themselves with it for some reason.
It's crazy, absolutely crazy. I'm just because Charlie's my first kid, and I know you've got a few kids, but
I got one. I made a mistake one time. I realized that was great. Now we're good.
But I think as you go, you're like, at what point does this fucking job get easier? So you think when he's born, oh, this is hard work being up at 6 in the morning.
I can tell you. I can tell you.
5.
The light at the end of the tunnel is 4.
4. Fucking hell! I've got another 3 years to go.
Yeah, so kill yourself. But before it gets significantly easier, because again, the psychology of it, I think, is they can start to express what they need.
Mm-hmm.
Life change, because before they can't. They have no idea how to properly express, like, you know what, I'm feeling a little, not starving, but a little hungry, and they just freak out, right?
Yeah.
But they can tell you, like, hey, can I have a snack?
Yeah.
And once they can say, hey, can I have a snack? Life gets so much better. 4.
Fingers crossed. But anyway, Kyle, I am going to end this recording.
You probably should.
Thank you very much.
This has been all kinds of tips.
Yeah,
all kinds of
tips. We've got drinking tips. I'm not sure how much SEO tips were in there. There was a couple, but yeah.
I think actually what came out in between was kind of revolutionary. I don't want to, toot my own horn, but okay too.
But no, thanks very much, Kyle. It's appreciated.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Cheers, man.